You've reached Conversation with Mr. A. This is your host, Ajahnee Hudson. Thank you for listening. Let's get right to the episode. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Mr. A. This is your host, Ajahnee Hudson. So for today's episode, I have three special guests, Emory Otso, Karen Varges, and Ajahnee Hudson, and they're from the Evergreen Community College and Living Life Leadership Organization. Thank you, ladies, for being present.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Glad to have you.
Yes, thank you. This is exciting.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure, my pleasure. So the first question I have is, can you explain a little bit about the organizations you're involved with and what your roles are and what you do?
Well, I've been involved with Living Life Leadership for over 20 years, working with our young people with leadership development, service learning, and social and cultural competency training. We usually work with our National Youth Leadership, which is based out of Minnesota. And so we take our students there to have leadership training, and then during the year they have a conference around service learning and what that looks like. And they are able to bring that, what they call taking it back home, where they have to go back into their communities and look at an issue that they're passionate about and what they would like to see change within their own community. And they work on that initiative for a year. And then they go back to national and they present out at the conference the work that they've been doing for that year.
Is it a national conference?
Yes, it's a national conference.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent, okay.
I've actually just signed up with Latch, which is Living Arts Cultural Heritage, and I am going to be primarily assisting with the archives and the curation of all of a community's artifacts, looking for stories, connections, to bring those unearthed treasures to light, so that way we can understand how we connect. So that's what I am doing with Latch, and yeah.
I've been with Living Life Leadership since I was in elementary school, and I have learned a lot of things with Miss Karen and everyone that's in the community. We work with children, we work against racism, and we also help out with people in the homeless community too. And like Miss Karen said, we do go on trips and learn about the different cultures, and especially the cultures we are learning from where we come from. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Can you explain how does a typical day look like? So when you get in there for today, can you kind of describe it in?
A typical day for who?
For all three of you.
Oh, I'll let you start there, Emory.
Well, let's see. I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree this quarter, applied to grad school for a master's in public administration. Akuye and I are research buddies, and we're partnering through the program surrounding the work of Latch in order to build truth and reconciliation about the various isms that communities face, and uncovering the truths, acknowledging the truths, and then bringing in reconciliation to the community in deciphering how it is that they need to heal. And so, I mean, on any given day, I could be working on research, I'm writing a book, I am engaged with mental health and supporting community members. It's kind of like wherever the need takes me, that's where I go.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know where to begin with, what a day in the life of Akuye looks like. I have also finished up my bachelor's degree and is looking forward to my master's in public administration, working with the preservation of indigenous and African American footprints for the state of Washington and what that entails, and have been doing that immersive work for quite some time with the celebration of hidden history, healing our land, healing our history, weaving histories in search of identity. And so we've been immersed in this work for over 20 years to be able to understand who we are, where we came from. We understand we come from an enslaved people brought to the Americas. So we come from stolen people brought to a stolen land. So we work to heal that history on both sides with those that were indigenous to this region in this area, as well as those that was enslaved here to the Americas.
Okay. Ajahnee?
The day of my life starts off pretty good. I look up on the internet, try to apply to college to work on child development, and even though I'm not in college right now, I still go on the online, learn how to work with children. Even with my nieces and nephews, I gain more knowledge with child development with them and seeing how they progress in life, which is so amazing because children are so unique in so many ways. And I also, wake up, get dressed for work. I stack up my money, and I learn how to communicate with different people every day, and seeing different people every day actually makes me really happy. And yeah, that's all my life.
Okay. Now, if a student or even an adult staff member, they wanted to join the organization, what would you tell them for a newcomer coming in?
Oh, wow. For a newcomer coming in, I always ask, what is it that you're passionate about? Because what I've learned is if you're not passionate about it, you won't stay the course of continuing the work. So I always try to find out, what they love to do, what they're passionate about, and then I try to at least shepherd or guide them to those areas so that they could immerse themselves in whatever it is that they want to contribute to. Because most people want to serve others. They just don't know how to begin or find an entry place to do that. And I always start with their passion, what they're passionate about. And if they're passionate about race equity, I would say to them they have to be involved with Kitsap E-Race Coalition, which is equity, race, and community engagement. And so what they do is they look at the health disparities, they look at educational, they look at faith-based, they look at community and government and what that entails, and then they're able to concentrate on the area that they're passionate about. So if they're really interested in race equity and Kitsap E-Race, Kitsap Surge, they've been doing some tremendous work. In a very short period of time, they've been able to work with the health district to declare racism a public health threat. They've been working with the government to ensure they have equity, race, advisory councils assigned to each of the city councils. They've helped elected mayors and officials of diverse populations that they've been able to serve in those ways, and they've worked diligently with the school districts to address some of the racial disparities within the educational system in Kitsap County. So they're doing some tremendous work.
Well, my background is a little varied, but it strangely makes sense. I was a licensed vet tech for 20 years, so I have extensive experience, on the medical side of things, which kind of clued me in that people were needing some healing as well. And so I kind of transitioned over to the human side of things, getting into social work. And there I've worked with people living with HIV and AIDS, those with co-occurring disorders, and supporting mental health and people's recovery. I created a curriculum for one of the state agencies around LGBTQIA plus competencies because they support youth in crisis, and I wanted to make sure that the people that were working with the youth understood the layers of gender and sexuality and how to support those youth without adding further elements of pain to young minds. So I became a peer counselor, and so I talk a lot about my own mental health recovery in supporting others, in connecting them to services. And so I'll be in class, I'll mention something, and then all of a sudden I'll get a ding. Somebody's asking about their child, or somebody needs connection to resources, and just looking at people and their needs and how to support them. So that's kind of what I do, and because I've worked in so many different settings, really honoring that holistic perspective of whole human support, because what I learned early on is, you're never going to get to see the four-legged patients or the two if you are not taking care of people's basic core needs. And so really kind of honoring, like, who are you? I want to know about you, and let's find out what motivates you and how best I can support. So that's kind of what I do.
Awesome. Yeah. Ajahnee, I know that you mentioned you graduated last year, 2022. Newer students, or if new people want to join in, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them to come join, because over here is awesome. I'll just explain to them like the amazing things Miss Karen has done for us, and I'll tell them like she literally changed us, fixed us up. She taught us many things. She took us under her wing and literally was like a second mom that you can actually count on things. And she would teach you many, many things that you would never thought you would actually ever learn. Honestly, I'll also just tell them, like, just come. Just come over, because it's actually so fun. There's a whole lot of things.
Sounds like you're welcoming, though. The group is welcoming. Am I right on that?
Yes, we're really welcoming. Like, there's a whole bunch of us kids, and whenever someone wants to come join, we always welcome them like open arms, like siblings. Like we're like, in this leadership, we're like family. We're like family that's stuck together. We're glued together. We don't never break apart. Whenever we need somebody or we need someone to call, we always know to call Miss Karen. Like, if we're in trouble, someone call Miss Karen, or we need something, call Miss Karen, or we want to find out about something, call Miss Karen. So yeah, it's really fun over here. I love it. I wouldn't go back to my old ways. I wouldn't.
Awesome. Okay, so let's hit the hard topic. I know that racism and bigotry has always been an issue everywhere. I mean, any community we've said, racism is a problem, bigotry. I know there's students, there's been adults. I mean, I had to use a fact. I mean, they'll use the N-word. I guess my question for the three of you is, What are your views on racism and bigotry? Can you share some of your experiences and what you've done to kind of counteract?
Racism has been something that has affected every aspect of my existence. It's been one of those really difficult conversations being mixed race in determining where I belong, because I'm black, but I'm not black enough. I have whiteness, but I definitely don't fit in there because I'm too dark. If I'm in space, because I did not grow up in community, I've largely been an outsider, looking in and trying to figure out about me and how I belong. And as the outsider, it's been hard, and it's been one of those really kind of ouchy spots of identity, because my own family's racism, internal and external, contributed to the erasure of that entire segment of my family. And so it is something that I think we never actually are free of it. And it is something that what helps is being in community, seeing the incredible work that is happening, and just doing my bit in order to confront and work towards dismantling as much of the tendrils that this affects. When I hear people struggling with identity, it's like, come on, let's talk. Let's grab a coffee. We can have some really, really awesome, deep conversations by connecting with others. So that's kind of how I've handled it.
This is a subject that I've had to really immerse myself in since we migrated here over 30 plus years ago. I found out we were one of the only African American families there. My children had a terrible time. They struggled within the school district because of the racism, the biases, and their experience. My oldest came home crying. He didn't want to be black. And my daughter, she stopped talking, and they wanted to put her in special ed, and had to go up to the school and had a IEP with the counselors and the teachers, and got in the room. And my daughter and I came, and I saw my daughter actually shrinking in that environment. And because each of the teachers was saying, oh, well, we believe she's got special needs. She doesn't talk. She doesn't engage. We think that we need to take her to get tested for mental health and all of these different things. And as I saw her shrinking in the chair, I said, let's stop. I said, Akila, you tell me right now what's going on here in this school. And my daughter busted out crying, saying, Mommy, they kicked me, they spit on me, they call me nigger. And she just had a total breakdown in that IEP. And that is when I went back to school with all of my children. I had 3. And my youngest, they wanted to, he was a troublemaker, labeled a troublemaker, because the way he dealt with all of the racism was a punch in the nose. When they attacked him, he got very physical. So he was the troublemaker. And so I had to go back to school with my children. I went back from K to 12th grade with my children until they graduated and got out of that school system. But they struggled. I struggled. I became a part of the Multicultural Advisory Council. I said, this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And I think that was the beginning in my journey with being immersed around racial injustices with students of color within a predominant European educational colonized system, and what needed to be addressed and what we needed to be talking about, and how we needed to support those students of color so that their education, that they would feel good about who they were, about how they were showing up within those school systems, because it wasn't just and all of those students. And I said, no. I said, this is unacceptable. And guess what? Just let me work with them. And found out they were being racially bullied and attacked within the school. But when they were what they call acting out, they were being suspended, and they were, being put in detention, and they were actually being demonized for not having the tools to address what the racism that was being perpetuated upon them.
Wow. Nene, Ajahnee, I was wondering, as a student, your experiences with racism and bigotry, dealing with others. Could you explain a little bit just the experiences and just your thoughts?
Just too much. Even when I cried to the staff to help, they didn't help. All they kept doing was blowing it off, and then until one day I was like, you know what? Like, I snapped on them, and I was like, this is not fair. Like, you guys are being racist. You guys are letting these kids call me the N-word, the hard R. Y'all literally let them call me a coon, a cotton picker, and y'all literally let the kids slide with all this. But when I get physical and I want to sit here and hit one of them, you guys want to expel, suspend me, not let me call home to tell my parents what was going on. You guys didn't want my mother and my father to come up to the school and talk to you guys because you guys didn't want them to know, like, how you guys were treating us. And there was one time, the vice principal, I forgot her name. She had came up to me and she was like, well, how do you feel about the school? And I said, and I told her straight up, I was like, you guys make me want to kill myself. Every day I come here. I said, every day I cry just stepping through these doors knowing I'm finna be in jail. I feel like I'm in imprisonment. I feel like I'm confined. And I feel like you guys just lock me up in chains every day. I sit there and cry in the bathroom because you guys are just racist. You guys are flat out racist. And every time I tell you guys that you guys are racist, you guys get all sad about it. And so like, oh, we're not racist. We're never racist to you guys. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. They were so racist that they literally disbanded our group. They separated us. They separated me from my sister. They separated me from my friends because they said that our group was too big and that we were terrorizing the other students. The other students felt so intimidated by us that they had to break us up. Now, one thing about me, I'm always close to my sister. I do not like being separated from my sister. And they had to separate me and my sister because me and my sister were just, we had our own opinions, and they didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. And even with my friends, we had our own opinions. And no matter how many times they try to push us down, we kept pushing up on them. And we literally had to fight for our color, for our lives in that school, just for us to have a freedom of speech. And every time we spoke up about it, they try to pipe us down. They always try to close our mouths. They always try to silence us with something, or they'd be like, well, if you guys don't stop doing this, we're going to suspend you, or you guys don't do this, you guys are going to get detention. I didn't care I didn't care if I got sent to detention, because as long as I got my word out, as long as they know how I felt, I was good at the end of the day. I was really good, and then until Miss Karen came up there, they started trying to be sweet to us. And when Miss Karen put her foot down, when it was all like, you guys can't do this to these students, you guys can't suspend them, you guys can't do this. They tried to be sweet. They tried to be sweet around Miss Karen. When Miss Karen would leave the school on the day she didn't come, oh, they were back being rude to us. They were really back being rude to us. And I always asked them, why the switch up? I'm like, Miss Karen, you guys are always acting nice around Miss Karen, but then when Miss Karen goes and do something else, you guys started acting rude again. And there was a one time on this bus incident, this guy, I don't know why, but he started targeting me. And I know it got to the point where like he was like, big girl in the yellow, I told you to be quiet. Now, I don't take disrespect. No way. I don't like disrespect. And I told him, I said, I have a name. And I said, my name is Ajahnee Hudson, not big girl in the yellow, not the black girl. I said, none of that. I said, it's Ajahnee. And I didn't feel safe on the bus with him, so I tried to get off. And which me, my sister, and my two friends, we tried to get off the bus, but he ended up closing the door on my friend's sister, and she literally was all like, let me off the bus, because I don't feel safe with you either. He wouldn't let her go. He didn't let her go at all. And once the cops came and stuff, that's when they're all like, they had arrested my friend's sister, who was a black girl, and they never did anything with the bus driver, who was a white man. No, I never heard what he got. And then when I told the principals how I felt about the incident, I'm like, I don't like how my friend's sister, she got in trouble and she got arrested and got put in the police car, while the man who literally was practically, it was attempted kidnapping at that point, when you didn't let the bus door open, let her get off the bus, didn't get in trouble at all. I find that very, very suspicious, that how she got in trouble and he didn't. And even after the bus incident, me, my sister, and our friends, we were in trouble. They made us sit in front of the bus. They kept an eye on us. They had security walking us to class every day. Every time we try to go and do something, there was security watching us. Every time we wanted to go use the bathroom, we had to get escorted by a teacher or something. And I just...
Like, that's like, it's a problem with just schools in general, do you think?
I feel like racism, it happens a lot in school, because some teachers turn a blind eye. And when it's out in public, you can literally fight your way through in public. But when it comes to schools, I feel like you can't fight your way, because that's going to be on your record. You don't want to lose your scholarship. They always threaten you with the scholarship. They always threaten you with like, oh, we're going to expel you. They're going to ruin your future. I feel like in all schools in general, I feel like they use a special attack on you, knowing that you love a sport or you love an activity so much. I feel like they use that against you whenever you want to speak up against racism at any time.
Wow. And this is where I'm guessing where the organization, the Living Life Leadership, has come as a support to have you guys to be there for each other.
Yes. One of the things that I would say, not just with Living Life Leadership, but also within our communities, within our schools and organization, when you're looking at institutionalized racism that has long history, that has never been dealt with, and now we are calling for race equity, and we're calling for, to look at the history of how it has been immersed throughout all of our history, human history here, especially in the United States, and especially within the educational system. We have to understand racism was so embedded in the educational system that students of color wasn't even allowed to go to school at one time. We have to understand that that has not been so long ago. That, when we talk about schools and institutions that shut down because they said they didn't want any black children in their schools, and all of that history, and understanding that even though they passed laws on the books, they didn't change ideologies and hearts and minds of those that was within those institutions. That still is a gatekeeping, that is still in positions of authority and power, still teaching our children. And so when you talk about racism, you have to talk about those individuals that have that mind, that ideology, that mindset, that hatred of racism, because we talk about racism, but we don't talk about the hatred and all of those issues that really perpetuate what you call racism. So, yeah.
Well, and I mean, Ajahnee's experience is not unlike my own. I went to a high school where there was 1,600 students. Myself and another student were the only two out students, which we both were students of color. And I dropped out in my senior year because I had a substitute teacher decide that he was going to counsel on race and sexuality, and was leading the charge of homophobia, where he called people that are queer pedophiles. And when I challenged that, that was immediately seen as confronting the power differential, and I was sent to the principal, and I said, you know what, I'm done with this. I need to go finish in adult school, because I can't do this another moment of my life. And the problem is the ideology is not being addressed, the power differentials are not being addressed. I've experienced racism in college, where I had a faculty that allowed a racist, toxic, mental health, terrible environment for all the students of color. And when I confronted it, I was told that I needed to fix myself. And that if I didn't carry forth in making sure that the work got completed, the pupils were not going to be able to graduate. And, it's one of those things where those systems are so set that the power differential makes it hard. And Ajahnee is right. They find something that you're passionate about and they say, yeah, no, we're not going to welcome you. You're never going to be able to count on me as a mentor. You're not going to be successful in your career because you can't handle the pressures of what we're dishing out. And so it does create this, it took me till age 46 to realize that not only do I have a learning disability, but I have multiple disabilities. And the entire time I felt as if I was incapable of understanding the things that I was being taught, not realizing that no, I just learned differently. That wasn't discovered because of race. I was part of the magnet program back in the day when they were like, we need diverse populations. Let's take all the black children that we feel like should go into white lands and let's bus them over. They put us on the short bus. So myself and a handful of others went up to the nice part of school, up in the north end, and we were bused in on the short bus, and we suffered. And fourth grade, I was asking questions. I did a book report. I was asking questions about. I was all excited. I'd read Hiroshima, John Hersey's pivotal book about the atomic bombs. I was asking questions of why it was that we needed to do that when my teacher decided that I didn't learn the right information and made it a point of pointing out how I had forgotten when the bombers left. Because I did not remember the dates and details, that somehow my learning was so flawed that he felt it imperative to show me up in front of the entire class. At fourth grade, those are damaging things. Wow. And that is stuff that you carry with you, that those feelings of inadequacies and how we push through those. And so it is something that, it's no different than looking at mental health. Mental health is primarily, driven by now, it was originally white males, now it's white females. Well, I had to fire my therapist of 16 years because she could not stop bringing her husband's police perspective into every conversation that I was having, processing racial things that were happening to me. I constantly had to hear about how it was wrong. And this was a person that I had been with for 16 years, not understanding her power and the power differential. I had to fire her because of it. We have the systems of oppression are so entrenched in every last one of these systems. It is surprising that as many of us are able to get to places to leverage our own privilege. It's few and far between.
Wow. Thank you for sharing the stories, all three of you. I mean, obviously, and I knew when I asked that question, it was going to go deep. And it was going to deep, and it was some pretty heavy. I'm going to try to lighten up a little bit here.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end here. And so I like to do this at the very end of the interviews. It's called word association. And so I'm going to throw a few words in, maybe just 1, 2, 3 words in, just fun, random words, and just tell me your first thoughts. Now, the first word, this is a running joke. When I worked with the students at Chimicum, they know the running joke that I had is that pickles, I really do not like pickles. I hate pickles. And so it's a big running joke. So I'm going to throw this first word of word association. Let's start with pickles. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Sour.
Near death.
Good.
All right, good. Okay, no judgment. Good. All right. Okay. Let's go with rap music.
So many stories. Storytelling.
Okay.
Rhyming.
Rhyming. Okay.
Heartbeat.
Heartbeat.
Yeah.
Okay. How about sports?
Oh, you lost me there.
That's all right.
I grew up in the library.
No worries.
Sports. Fickle.
Okay.
Track.
Track.
Yeah.
Okay. How about social media?
Necessary evil.
Necessary evil. Okay.
Challenging.
Okay.
Toxicity.
Toxicity. Okay. Ice cream.
Good.
get me a scoop and put it in one of those nice waffle cones.
Tummy aches.
Tummy aches? Okay.
no.
Okay. All right.
Lactose intolerant over here.
Lactose intolerant? Okay. No
We'll have
judgment.
your ice cream.
No judgment. No judgment. No judgment. Country music.
Roots.
That element of storytelling way back, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass.
Cowboys.
Cowboys?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Romantic movies.
Romeo and Juliet.
Not able to find a whole lot of accurate presentation for queer people, even to this day.
Sappy.
Sappy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go with the opposite. How about horror slasher movies?
I like a good horror movie.
You know, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I like get my heartbeat going.
All right. Nah.
Horror ain't my thing.
All right.
The thrills. Let me see. I don't know. I like horror movies, so.
All right. Okay. No worries. Action movies.
Exciting.
They have to have a great plot line, otherwise you lose me.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
I want to jump through the screen sometimes.
Okay.
I'll save ya.
Ah, gotta save him in. Gotta save him in.
I'm bringing my broadsword down.
Video games.
Not interested.
If it's computer games, I can get sucked in. Yeah.
An escape from reality.
Yeah.
Escape from reality. That's good. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Let's go one more. How about justice?
A way of life.
Necessary.
Relevance.
Relevance. That's good. That's good. So I just got a few more questions. Now, if anyone wanted to join the Living Life Leadership Organization, where can people find you guys?
Well, you can find us at the Marvin Williams Center at the New Life Community Development Agency, or just reach out to myself or any of the students. And so, yeah, we're around.
Okay.
Oh, well, I suppose that I need to adopt a more professional way of being reached, but
We can reach you.
I was about to say, if you go the route of Latch or Living Life Leadership, they'll make sure that I get alerted.
Evergreen.
Evergreen,
Evergreen. Okay.
At the Emory Williams Center.
Marvin Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Marvin Williams Center, that is in Bremerton, correct?
Yes, that's in
Yeah,
Bremerton. It's the New Life Community Development Agency. It was a vision of the late Bishop Lawrence Ray Robertson, the Marvin Williams Center, there with Marvin Williams, which he is a Bremertonian that went off to the NBA and came back home to build a community center for our young people to be able to have a safe space and a safe place to be.
Awesome. Awesome. Any final words to our listeners that you'd like to tell them?
Stay strong. There's people out there that need you. You're needed. Do not listen to the vitriol that is being said. It's lies.
Just be conscious and aware of the health and wellness of your own community and your community members and families.
Be kind to others, no matter what the cost is, but don't be too kind to let people overstep your boundaries.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for your time,
Yes.
ladies. And that concludes this week's edition of Conversations with Mr. A, featuring Emory, Karen, and Ajahnee. And so, again, they are from the Living Life Leadership Organization. They support African American communities, and they heavily work at Evergreen Community College as well as the Marvin Williams Center. Deep topics with racism. One thing I can tell you about racism, it's real, it's a problem, and they really shared their hearts and spilled their guts on it. So thank you for listening, everyone. We will have more future editions coming up soon. Take care.